Hello and welcome to the Making It podcast. We are here for episode 52, the final one of 2025. Can you believe that it is a year on, what day is it today? Thursday. It's a year on Thursday that we started the Making It podcast. And I've got to say, what an absolutely amazing journey it has been. We're not going to be celebrating just yet, though, because we've still got another episode to go yet. But we're going to be talking New Year's solutions, talking a bit about 2025. We're just going to be talking about what our thoughts are on the year that's still here for another day. So make the most of it. But we're just going to talk a little bit about how the year's been, what we expect from 2025, 2026. Maybe what we're not ready for, what we are ready for, and actually, I think it'd be good to talk about some of the struggles we've had in 2025 as well, because social media is about to be flooded with great things. Traveling moments, personal moments, babies being born, all sorts of good things. But as you'd expect, and man, I'm sure no one would have joy in posting, there's a lot of challenges in this past year. So it's always good to share your vulnerabilities and how you've come out of that, I think. So, Dan, welcome back to the podcast, brother, episode 52. How's it going?
Bro, very good. It's last week was a good week because it was Christmas and my birthday. I had my 21st birthday on Saturday night. Got very drunk. But it was a good time. Woke up with the worst beer fear and I was hungover, but me and Scarlett got lunch on a nice day and I can happily say I've recovered from it now. Christmas was lovely. We all ended on the karaoke. It was good fun, bro. So now I'm in good spirits. Yesterday felt a bit weird because you spend so much time anticipating something like Christmas and your birthday, and then when they're gone, it's like, what the hell do I do with myself now? That typical void between Christmas and New Year's. But New Year's Eve tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, a year of the podcast, bro. I mean, hasn't it flown by? I mean, I watched a couple minutes of our New Year's solutions from last year, and you can see the way we've grown as podcasters together. I'm looking forward to diving into a couple of things we mentioned on that podcast. But bro, I'm feeling good. 2 weeks left at home now, so just going to embrace the people around me, embrace the things I've got here. Off to Dublin tomorrow for New Year's Eve, so looking forward to that. But brother, how are you, man? I know things have been a bit up and down. I know Christmas away from the family isn't easy, bro. So how have you been, my friend?
It's been a really tough one. You might know that I write the blog every week. It's a little bit late, but this week has probably been one of the tougher weeks. Been probably drinking a lot more than normal, not out of anything other than trying to have a bit of fun, to be honest, but obviously that has its downsides. But just in general, missing home a lot. I've not spoken to my mum for 4 or 5 days. I've not really spoken to family or friends from home that much, just because I haven't felt it. I haven't felt good. Being away from home for Christmas, I didn't realise how big of a thing that'd be for me. I mean, I knew it'd be tough, but it's also difficult because I live completely, on my own. Obviously, I've got my flatmates, but it's not the same as when I was living with Deck, where I'm living with him. And he's living out west, and his sleep schedule's all over the place, so we're not really talking that much. So, it's been a challenge again, like it is when you move somewhere 10,000 miles away and you're 11 hours ahead of time. It just makes things a bit difficult. And obviously, at Christmas, you want to talk to your family, you want to know what's going on. You want to speak to your brother, your dad, all these kinds of things, and you just don't get to do it as much. So, bit of a sobering week, could say. And just one of those experiences that I think I kind of needed. Christmas Day was very interesting. I went to Coogee Beach and there was like 5,000 people there. Did a Spanish rave on Christmas Day. Nearly got knocked out by a massive wave, and then came home, made pasta and went to bed. It was just a very normal day for me, really, just with the added fact that everyone was wearing Santa hats and drinking loads of booze. So, it was a different experience. New Year tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be very busy either, but it has been a dream of mine to go and watch the lights and the fireworks at Sydney's Harbour Bridge. So no matter where I watch them from, if it's a rooftop, a hill, a street, I'm just so excited to go and see something that I've always wanted to see since I was a kid. And despite it being a tough week, I want to give a shout out to Beck. He might not watch this, but Beck's someone I used to work with at ESM when I did my sales. And he invited us around for a barbecue, beautiful house in North Bondi, and we had a nice little barbecue. We have fairy bread, which is like white bread with butter and sprinkles on it. But apparently it's an Aussie classic. So it was just good fun. That really made me happy. It was nice to see him. And he's just a genuine person. And I'm so grateful that I now have friends and people that I can just go and meet for coffees, go and see at their house, just go and do stuff with and have a good time, because I've not really had that. So despite it being a tough week, it's been a nice little end to the year, and I'm feeling lots better today, mate. So onwards and upwards, tough times, ride the wave. The drill. We've been here before.
Exactly, Bhavan. One of the things you mentioned on our New Year's Solutions episode was the first goal was going to Australia. And you already knew you were going, but that's something you wanted to achieve in 2025. And I think right now you are achieving that. I think the ups and downs are always going to be a part of it. And I think the journey you've been on out in Australia has been a very special one. So be proud of yourself, mate. One of the other ones was driving.
Didn't get that.
I know you did a bit of driving, didn't you, on that road trip? So you done a bit?
Yeah, we like a tiny bit, but like nothing like crazy. Do you know what I mean?
And then another one of yours was you wanted to have a professional step up and go into that place. It was near Birmingham, right?
Yeah, Solihull.
Almost like a little cabin. So I think you've achieved well this year, brother. So be proud of yourself. What I said was I didn't have anything in particular I wanted to achieve. It was just I wanted to carry on being myself and trusting my intuition. So reflecting on those New Year's solutions from last year, Jamie, how do you feel? Where do you feel you've come from at that point in your life, and what are your New Year's solutions going into the new year?
Well, I want to just say actually that I think that I've actually achieved more this year than I have in previous years. But I actually feel like I've expected more of myself even now. So in a way, the over expectation, or just the expectation in general, has caused me a couple of problems, because it's made me not appreciate what I am achieving. So I think in 2026, I'd like to learn to be a bit more reflective and appreciative of what I've got and what I'm achieving, because, like you just mentioned, and I've not even considered it, Dan, to be honest. What I said I'd achieve at the start of the year, there's only a couple of things I haven't done. And I think from that perspective, I've done a lot. But I always want more from myself. So I guess it comes with its pros and cons. But for 2026, I'm making myself a little 2026 Bible, and it contains my goals, nothing crazy. It contains some, little bucket list things I'd like to do this year. It contains some challenges and questions that I'm going to ask myself. One of them is whether I'd like to do more time in Australia, because when you're out here for 6 months and you experience the good and the bad, eventually you have to get to that third point. I always think there's 3 points to an argument, right? The truth, someone's truth, my truth, then the truth. Or there's always 3 points to something. There's always that middle ground. And I feel like now I've got a good experience and I've had a bad experience. Now I've got to ask the question. But also I want to set a strategy for 2026. And how I've labelled it, Dan, I want to attack 2026 like a football match. I need to see it that way. I need to start seeing things that are challenging and that I want to achieve in ways that are relatable to me and I understand the processes of. When you're 1-0 down, Dan, what's your natural strategy in a football match? And I don't want the exacts, because I don't know if Judy's going to want to hear your 4-4-2, your 4-2-3-1. I don't think we're not, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, maybe you do, Judy. I don't want to insult you there. Maybe you are. You play Football Manager, or I don't know. But what do you do then?
Typically, if we've gone 1-0 down, obviously it's all dependent on the time of the game. But let's say it's like within 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I'd probably work out what's been going wrong in the game. Can I find a solution? Can we fix it at half time? Make a sub if needed. Just basically work out what's gone wrong or what is going wrong and find a solution. But if things are all right, we just happen to concede 1-0, then just stick with the process for a little bit, see it out for a bit.
And that's it. And one of the most important things I ever got from that sales job is you only fall as far as your process, right? So if your process is good and it allows for good progress, you'll only fall as far as that. It's up to you to determine where the flaws are. So the point I'm trying to make is I need to make 2026 about execution. I think that conception, I think that idea generation, we've spoken about it, me and you before. I think that I could have been better at executing things to do with the podcast or the personal projects. But at the same time, it's important to remember that there's only 17 players within a football team or whatever it is. Let's focus on your 17 players. Let's focus on your projects that you've got going for you now, and let's get the best out of all of those. And then in January, if you need to bring in someone new, you need to have a new little transfer and you need to do something, then do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that 2026, I want a clear strategy to achieve. I want to do more. And you know what, Dan? I just want to not give a fuck. There you go. I'll put it that way. I just don't care. I just don't want to anymore, because I think that I've been waking up so much and worrying about all these different things that we've discussed on the podcast. And I'm thinking it shouldn't take a new year to spur me on. But you know what? I'm going to be one of those guys and be like, 2026 is the year I do it. I'm keen to know your thoughts as well coming up to 2026. And I also want to add on a little question for you, Dan. What are your thoughts on the new year, new me discussion? What are your thoughts on that? The pros and the cons. I just want to know your thoughts. But before you do that, though, kind of what are your goals for 2026 and how are you going to approach the year?
I'll kind of tie it all into one. I think it's interesting what you're mentioning about not wanting to care as much about certain things and the things you've been talking about on the podcast. Typically, probably maybe the anxieties you've been having about certain things and the thinking more than the doing. I think part of me would suggest that those things probably won't go away. It's just your relationship with those things can change. Now, something I've reflected on since being back at home is my relationships at home. And I know we've spoke a lot about that on the podcast. And I know I've come from a direction of there's been some people in my life, some people I've been closer to, who I'm not as close to now. But there's still a relationship there. And I've now come to understand that I've had to accept that the relationship with certain friends isn't what I potentially thought it could have been. But it doesn't mean the relationship I have with them now isn't a good one. I think with some people, I just had certain expectations, and when they don't kind of meet them or certain standards, I felt a bit disappointed. But now I've come to understand and accept some people are just how they are, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just how someone is sometimes. My relationship with those people has now growing to a new place. The same way with home. When I first started coming home, I didn't really like the feeling of it because I miss Newcastle, but now I've got this new relationship with home and I enjoy the things that are here. So with your anxieties and your thoughts that you're having, I think those things aren't going to go away. And I don't think all of a sudden you can stop giving a fuck, as you described it, but you can build a new relationship with when you get those thoughts. So for me, going into the new year, I think with the things I have already, I want to keep them intact. My football coaching, the podcast with you, my social media accounts, my relationship with Scarlett, my relationship with friends, my relationship with friends in terms of the ones that I know reciprocate that. And I just want to build with these things and continue with the relationships with these things, continue with campfires as we speak, but just build and progress in a new way which I don't know yet. Year will tell me that. Something will happen with football coaching I didn't expect, and I'll just grow naturally with it. But I guess the way I want to approach that is, like I said last year, continuing to be myself, continuing to trust my intuition, and I think having more conviction, like what you spoke, it ties into what you're saying. And I think having more conviction is a very interesting area because a lot of us do struggle with that. A lot of us like to procrastinate. A lot of us like to think about things before we do them a little bit too much, and there's a danger to being too convicting to the point where you're not thinking. But I think sometimes we know with things that we want to do them, we're just afraid. And I know when I get told something new, like, I don't know, setting up a podcast or running a marathon or going back on the YouTube channel and et cetera, I do naturally have this fear of, wow, okay, am I making that step now? I think it's just with all these things, I think going into this new year with me, and it ties into what you were saying, and hopefully the listener, how they feel about things. I think for me, with the whole new year, new me, I'm not going into the new year thinking there's going to be a new me. I'm going into the new year with the things I already have in my life, but just growing with those relationships, understanding these things more, understanding myself more, and expanding on them, understanding them, and not feeling like I shouldn't have them in my life. Let's say the anxieties or the thinking too much, or the friends who maybe we've fallen out at times, but now we're all right now. Not letting go of these things or trying to remove them from my life, but just building that relationship with them. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think, in a way, you should kind of treat the things that you've been through this year and put them all into a big box. Don't put it in the loft and forget about it. Bring it with you to your new home, to your new year. Bring it with you. And as the year goes on, the things in that box, you'll slowly go through them and you'll go, oh, do you remember this from last year? Okay. I'm probably going to feel this way again. That's okay. How did I deal with it last year? I cried about it. I ran away. I didn't call my friends. Okay. Is that a smart way of doing things? Probably not. Okay. How can I work on it this year? And maybe this year, you'll only improve that process of dealing with that thing by 1%, but that's still better than last year. I know that if I did another Christmas in a foreign country without family, I'd probably go out and stay longer with friends. I'd probably just hold on a little bit more, not be, try not to be as grumpy with certain things, be a bit more loose, and have a little bit more fun. It's all about using that box of things and taking it with you and just learning, remembering, and remembering that you're human. Like, you are a human. All the time we're on social media seeing people giving us advice, telling us what to do, telling us what they've done. You see us, maybe you're thinking, well, he's done this. Why can't I do it? It's not about that. It's about your own personal thought processes. It's really important that you trust yourself and your ability to deal with these situations, because you are strong enough, you are intelligent enough, and just as a human being, you are enough. And it's important that you remember that, and you need to truly believe that in yourself, because if you're always looking for that external push for motivation, which I would say over Christmas I've looked for, I've ended up on Instagram Reels for ages just looking for what's going to tell me to get out of bed. What's going to tell me to get out of bed? Like today, I woke up at probably 3 a.m, again at 5 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I slept through my alarm. And then I woke up again at 11:30. I didn't get out of bed till 1:30. And instead of looking for that external motivation, I said to myself, okay, right, here's what you're going to go and do. You're going to go and attack the day. Do the same thing with this new year. Don't just sit in bed. Go and attack this year. Not because it's a new year, just because you've got an opportunity for another day. It's another day. The 1st of January 2026 is another day. It's another what? Thursday? Who cares? Just go and have a good day. And at the end of the day, I think, Dan, if it brings you comfort to think that 2026 is your year and you want to say it like that, as much as I don't believe the whole new year, new me thing, if it brings you comfort and it's going to get you to go and get off your ass and do something and go and make the most of your life, then so good. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I always think, Dan, what could we achieve in 2026? And I think, God, I want to achieve all these different things. And I'm like, do you want to get into the exact goals that you've got? Like a top 3? I'd be quite interested to do that.
I was about to say, we've kind of gone about the philosophical way of our 2026, but what are the exact what are some targets we have? What are the things that are less philosophical and things we actually do want to achieve? But just before we get into that, I just want to share something I've not shared before. I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone. I remember one time I was like, it was my first year at uni, and I know I was struggling a lot with some of my thoughts in my relationship with Scarlett, and I had this lighter in my flat, and when I was going out to get my bike, I brought this lighter with me. And I said to myself, I'm going to throw this lighter outside of my accommodation. And when I throw this lighter and it's gone, I'm never going to think about these things that I'm struggling with again. That lighter didn't change a goddamn thing. Sometimes you wish you could throw that lighter and these things you're struggling with are just never going to appear again.
What is that called, Dan? What is it called?
Avoidance, maybe?
Avoidance or placebo?
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, this is going to fix my life. It's fucking not. Sorry. It's just not.
But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think a lot of us feel like, why do I feel this way? Why am I still thinking about this thing that I hate so much? Why am I still thinking about the anxieties? Why am I still scared of this thing? The fact is, you probably always will be. It's just building that relationship with it and finding what works for you. But yeah, well, let's jump into some targets. What are three, maybe not three, but what are a couple targets, some things you do want to achieve that are a bit more on the sort of goal aspect of things in 2026?
I want to drive.
Every year.
Yeah, this year is my year for driving. I can assure you. I can't go another year without it. So yeah, I want to drive. I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to go down the route of the personal mental health objectives because I don't think I want to think about material goals, things that are a little bit more tangible.
Yeah.
I want to get my UEFA C license. Very big for me. But in general, I want to improve my coaching qualifications. So if I can get higher than that, if I can get more than that, then I absolutely will look to do that. And then thirdly, this is the massive one for me, Dan. I suppose I've got two. I want to learn to code again. You know, I used to do a fair bit of coding and I kind of forgot about it, and now I'm getting back onto it. So I want to be able to code my own app, and I'm working on a couple of things at the moment, you know, on my laptop that I want to work with, things to help the podcast mostly. But I'd also like to start a business of some sort, something maybe small scale, something online. But, you know, I'm looking at a few different things, and I would really like to expand my business knowledge. I'd like to give it a go. You know, I'd like to just take that risk because why not? You know what I mean? Why not? I think we're, you know, nothing on a crazy major scale. I don't want to open up a restaurant and call it Dan and Jay's Italian, you know, or something like that. But I'd like to do something that's just a little bit fun, a little bit of a gamble, and I'll just give it everything and have a bit of fun with it. So that's like 3/4 things I want to achieve this year, Dan. Mark my words, I'll do it. How about you?
I would like to win the league with Northumbria Sevens. I would like to... I'm going to be ambitious. At first, when I was thinking, what am I going to say? I was thinking I want to achieve a 2-1 when I graduate from uni. But I'm going to be ambitious. I want to aim for that first. So I'd like to achieve a first when I graduate next year, and I would like to hit 500 followers on my Instagram account. They're probably three things which I'm setting my targets for. It's three things I'd at the end of the next year I'd like to go. I've achieved that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think I'm excited, but like we talk about, things don't all of a sudden change when the new year hits. It's like when you turn a new age, things don't really all of a sudden change unless you're 18 and start going out. But it's just building these relationships with things. But I want to speak to a little bit about, if you're willing to, about some of the things you were speaking to me about this week when it comes to your traveling. I know you said you've been doing a bit of comparison. You've been thinking quite a bit, overcomplicating things maybe. Would you like to express some of the things that have been going on in your mind when it comes to traveling lately?
No.
Running out of time, I know you won.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, running out of time, big one. I don't want to give too much away because it is on the blog, and it's quite a good it's very in depth in my blog, and I think I've written it really nicely. So I don't want to give away too much. But I had a conversation with a guy at a bar, and he basically, in his own words, he was quite drunk, you know, and he under the influence of whatever. But he gave me good advice, And he said to me, he said, how old are you, mate? 20. And he's like, I used to do this. I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I used to be a cocktail barman in London. I did it for years. And I was like, oh, sick. And he was like, what rum would you recommend? I'm like, there was one rum I drank off the fridge that was in a little bottle. And it was, obviously, you know, Meg, my stepdad. There's a little bottle of it that was like stuck to the fridge. And I drank it when I was a kid. And it was like the most spicy, like, ugh. And then I drank it again when I was at work one time. And I was like, that is so good. So I was like, have some Sailor Jerry. So I made him these 2 drinks or 4 drinks, 2 different variants. And he was like, I started an IT company when I was in my 30s. I was like, okay. And he's like, and I've made my first millions when I'm in my 40s. I'm like, okay. And I was thinking 20, 30, 40, 20 years between me, where I'm at now, and him where he's at now. Or where he was at when he became a millionaire or whatever he said. Take away the money part. He started learning and developing knowledge about tech, despite coming from no background to do with tech when he was in his 30s. He made his millions when he was in his 40s, in 10 years. On average, it's like a seventh of your life, an eighth of your life, if you're going to put it like that. The whole point is that he made to me is that you shouldn't have it all figured out now and that this is okay. And it's all about your mentality. And we were kind of getting onto he said, what worries you and what stops you from wanting to achieve, or what stops you and holds you back from doing things? And I said, I kind of worry about time running out. And that's when he said to me, he's like, remember, you're 10 years away now, 11 years away now from when I started learning about technology. You're 21 years away from when I became a millionaire. And he said, you've got time. Trust me, you've got loads of time. Have fun, go and travel, but knuckle down, learn something good, do stuff you enjoy, and make money from it. Make a business from it, do what you got to do. And I thought, do you know what? That hasn't cured how I feel. I still wake up in the morning and go, God, been here 7 months nearly. 7 months in a couple of days. Like, fuck, what do I do? Don't worry about it. Just go and enjoy it. And that's what I've got to do, And I'm learning now that if you have less time, be more spontaneous. Just do it. Because why not? Why not? We always bring up Anthony Bourdain, Daniel. We always bring that guy up. And it brings me great sadness that we'd never be able to interview him or hear from him again. But just the way that he lived life and the way that he saw things should make you realize that running out of time, we're all running out of time. The point is, don't think about it and just enjoy the moments and don't neglect your future. And that's what that guy was saying to me. So when it comes to my anxieties, running out of time, thinking I've got a long time left to go somewhere, worrying about if I'm going to come for a second year, all these things, it means jack shit, right? It means nothing. Because at the end of the day, I've got to enjoy what I've got now. And that's important to me, and I'm learning that every single day. And I'm appreciating things. I walk to new places every day. I see new things every day and I go, wow, imagine if I'd just come and done this tomorrow. Or yesterday, sorry. Imagine if I'd just done this yesterday instead of procrastinating. So every day is a new experience, and I've experienced some of the worst anxiety, some of the worst depression I've ever felt in my life since being here. But I've also had some of the best moments, seen some of the most amazing things, met some of the most incredible people. And I would say there's a balance there, Dan. And honestly, I think that this trip has been incredible. I've learned so much. I've taken so much away, and I've still got 6 months to go. Let's fucking get it. Let's get it, Dan. But it's important that you know that that traveling's hard. Traveling is bloody hard. I'm going to be alone again in a few weeks when Deck goes home. It's another challenge, but fuck, I just thought to myself, I texted someone yesterday and they were like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm just going for a barbecue at Bondi. And I'm like, I'm going for a barbecue at Bondi Beach on a random Monday afternoon, albeit I turned up a day early the day before and made myself look like an idiot. But I'm doing that. That's just a casual Monday for me after Christmas. Perspective, man. That's what it's all about. Perspective.
100%. But I think what you were speaking about, I think as young people, we like to stress and worry about the future because we don't know what it holds. And the way you expected Australia to go, I know from perspective of doing this podcast with you, it's not gone the way you ever probably expected. But for all the right reasons, all the right and wrong reasons, I guess. Like you live and you learn, and I think we have this anticipation that we do need to have it all figured out, and we do compare a lot. But I think these things are, like we spoke about earlier in the podcast, these things aren't going to go away. We are going to compare ourselves. It's just it's all about understanding our situation, understanding what we want, and that comes from us. I'd like to let me grab it. I'd like to just shout out Judy. Shout out your mum as well, of course. I've said many thanks to her for setting up my 21st at the Vic. Thank everyone who, if you listen, who went to my birthday. It was lovely time. I'm grateful for everyone. But Judy, bless her, showed up, and she made me this mosaic. It's a garden. It's a Daniel. It's got an England badge, a robin, and a star. And I think Judy's a special person, and it was lovely to see her there that day. So big up Judy. But brother, New Year's solutions, eh? New year, new me, whatever that means, and what we don't feel it means. But let's get it this year, brother. And I'm proud of the Making It podcast. I'm proud of you. Let's go smash it, man.
Let's go smash it. And I just want to say as well, and I know Daniel will echo this, thank you for making 2025 the year of Making It podcast. Well, I've got one more thing to ask you. Let's make 2026 the year of Making It podcast again, because I think it takes guts to come out and put your faces out in public and talk about stuff that people don't really talk about that much, maybe things that aren't that popular to talk about, maybe not that exciting to some people, or doesn't get you views or clickbait and all that rubbish. But you know what? I think we've had a good time, Dan. It's added dimensions to our friendship.